Good to have you back on Atlantic Television Network Blowout, and it's time for Anchor's Charts. The Director of Computer Services in the Abia State Ministry of Budget and Planning, Ejem Kalu, and the retired Director of Debt Management in the Ministry of Finance, Mr. Umar Ukono, have appeared before the Abia State Judicial Panel of Inquiry on the recovery of government properties and funds to respond to a petition filed by the AN Wachuku over alleged connivance and withdrawal of millions of naira. Another petition before the panel challenged the wrongful removal of Mrs. Joyce Chidozie Obani as head NG Cares Unit and the non-implementation of NG Cares projects in Abia State. While responding during the cross-examination by the counsel to the panel, Mr. Ejem Carlo said Mrs. Joyce Chidozie Obani never held the position of State Cares Coordinating Unit. He explained that the World Bank gave the state directive to appoint a State Cares Coordinating Unit, which he emerged. While Carlos said the first tranche of money after successful documentation and implementation of an 86% NG Cares Unit project in Abia State amounted to 1.1 billion naira, which according to him was disbursed to 6 platforms. In response, Umar Ukono said the monies were released and withdrawn from the ministry through the signature of the permanent secretary, himself as Director of Debt Management and Director of Finance, the Ministry for Projects and Programs. So he added that 10 million naira was released in 2022 from companies partnering with the Abia State government, saying that monies which came from such partnerships were directly paid into government coffers. First off, I appreciate Governor Alex Oti and the government of Abia State for this process. This is not what you find regularly. I think anything close to this that I can remember ever experiencing should be the Oputa panel, or which didn't deal with accountability, stewardship accounts, if you know what I mean. Nobody accounts for it. I remember a vivid experience I had, not directly in government. That was in 2015. A campaign for the APC. I was doing a coordinating job at the state level for the Buhari Dakuku campaign council in charge of door-to-door. Now, there was a particular, out of respect for all concerned, a particular man who commissioner then served under Amechi, who was supposedly manning my units, for at the state level financially and all of that. He was rallying all the funds that was meant for that campaign and all the funds that were supposed to be paid to us till today. And there are several people like that. I'll give you another experience. One time I applied for health support with the NDDC. And while I applied for that health support, after some time, I know it takes a while, and then they came up with the call sent for me, called me and gave me a letter to go to a certain hospital. And then on getting there, one of the hospitals that is in retainership with NDDC, that is. And at the end of the day, guess what happened? This same doctor, I know the people I'm talking about, I know them, they still move about freely today. Made away with that money. They didn't bother to do anything much to ensure that the needful was done. But guess what? It didn't for you to get it from you. I honestly think that the time has come for people to be held accountable. State apparatus should be used to question some of the excesses of these men who served in government, from the governor to their aides. Because this story are everywhere. So you're talking about what is going on in Abia State. Once again, I commend the governor of Abia State, the government of Abia State, for setting up this panel, and we hope that there will be more to question the excesses of government and government officials where and when necessary. We were talking about during the Buhari administration, for instance, school feeding during the COVID-19, kids were at home, and someone audaciously came out to tell us that there was school feeding. We're talking about and the power processes. Who has investigated that? We're talking about the social register, and then you hear how much money is being disbursed for A, B, C, D. At the end of the day, you don't see these people, you can't really attest to this number of persons. They just bring a few people, make a form of a charade, you know, in front of who happens to be involved in the line of investigation. We have no idea, but he has mentioned names, he has pointed at fingers at certain people. We hope that the next thing that comes out of this will be getting this to an individual, or 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5 individuals, put that money in their pockets. So, but he went after Rotimi Amechi's administration as if there was no, as if they were really true criminals. I know people were shouting at the top of their voice, and I know that the former Commissioner for Information, the BIM seminataries, some of the official vehicles he was publicly disgraced, and several of them like that. Well, what happened to that today, where they're all playing politics today? But should we pretend that all of this is okay? No, it's not okay. So what do we need to do? We need to find a way to ensure that transparency, accountability, who was represented by the Chief of Training Army, Major General S.G. Mohammed, on his part, tasked the trainees to leverage on the knowledge gained to address insecurity in various regional challenges in Nigeria. He said, in addition, he said, the Mugun Bugu training exercise 2023 has demonstrated the genuine commitment to producing highly versatile and intellectually sound military professionalism in the country. All right, congratulations to them in advance. However, let's dissect this issue quickly, if you may, Ambassador. Number one, this conversation that we are having, right, managing insecurity in Nigeria, how much of an effective tool do you think this is?
Well, if possibility from this kind of joint effort that they're going to put together, but unfortunately, the reality on ground is that they're all going solo. The army wants to take the glory whenever there is a counterattack to the terrorist attack. We had issues in the past administration where whenever there is an attack, then there is a meeting. After the meeting, everybody goes to sleep. 1 week after, when there's an attack again, they come back again for a meeting. I just said, what kind of mockery are we giving to our military that have excelled in all the
kind of security to support what the police is doing, so that at the core army, internal security or external security, if you may?
Well, constitutionally, the police are expected to play the roles now the army are practically taken over to play. What I don't understand is why the army not achieving it. I mean, to have been doing is prosecute these people in public. But up till this moment, the administration came and left, and there was no prosecution case on the names that were listed out. So somehow I'm even thinking that the government is also complicit in this matter. Because here you have a situation where people have been identified and prosecuted internationally, and names were mentioned. And up till this moment, even after the 8 years of that administration, Nobody has been arrested. Nobody has been prosecuted. And we expect that there's going to be a change. I don't think so. I think the military is just being drawn and being exhausted in a role that they are not also, constitutionally designed to play. And now that they have a new IG and that they're all talking about training, there's the time to refocus and then give people roles to play, and then also give them that responsibility to take, to take actions or be exited out of those positions, so we can have a change, and then the Nigerian citizens themselves can also breathe some kind of fresh air from these consistent attacks that have been ongoing recently.
Now, one of the things you listed as a way of managing insecurity is digitalization of the security system, maybe the agencies or system in Nigeria. I want to go back quickly to the Abuja-Kaduna Trail Line incident we had some time. I want us to look at this from Rotimi Amechi, the then Minister of Transportation, who Akande coming out to say, hey, it wasn't this and that and all of that. So that wasn't done, and we saw the security agencies today, in your opinion, when it comes to digitalize the security system?
Well, we are part of the global system, so we can't pretend that we don't know what's ongoing. And I think it's just either government complicit in this issue, or some certain people that have been given this responsibility just want to remain the same, when we all know that even the current training they are talking about shouldn't be about how to start cocking and shooting gun, but about deploying the technology. We watch them on movies, and then we also watch them in some of these countries where they are having the fights, like the Ukraine war and also the Palestinian Israeli war. We are seeing all those technologies there. They are not rocket science to say, oh, they are too expensive to get. After all, some people doing wedding and burials are also using these drones to pick out people in very, impossible angles. And they are not expensive. So why do we deploy the same old techniques and expect that there's going to be a different result? No, it's not going to be possible. Technology is the way to go. And we are seeing them being successfully deployed and using some of these current ongoing wars. So Nigeria cannot pretend not to be part of this global system to adapt this technology. Because with the technology, you even have less human casualties involved. Because all you have to do is to sit down in the control room and then press the buttons based on what the cameras can pick. Minute movements, even insect movements, these cameras with their X-ray distance can pick them and then take them out. So I keep saying that there is complicit within the government circle that these things should not work, because maybe some people are smiling to the bank with the blood of innocent Nigerians that are being shed on a daily basis. This is my thought on it.
Now, let's quickly wrap up with this. I'm hoping that someone is listening out there. When you talk about training of a police personnel, last night on my way to the office for the Global, I saw our vehicle was waved down by some security personnel on the road, maybe on checkpoint duties or something. There wasn't a checkpoint, by the way, but it was just in the middle of the road. And when he stopped, what caught my attention is why he asked the driver to wind down, like how they give you this order, and he did that. And I was looking at him. What caught my attention is not even the money he's asking for, like show us love and all of those things they do. It is the state of this man. From his skin to his clothing to everything about him, nothing spells security. Nothing shows good welfare. Nothing about him, not even to his gun. I'm wondering, in all of this training and proposal being made by the National Assembly, how they need to tighten the nose around the security to ensure that they provide them with the relevant apparatus they need to provide better security with and all of that. Can we begin to have conversations around the welfare of police officers? A lot of pundits have said that if we begin to talk about the provide them better welfare, they will provide better security. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But the question is that this narrative has been there for the past 2 administrations, and nothing has happened. I mean, we had in Jonathan's, former President Jonathan's era, where they went to the police college in Ikeja I mean, this is police college, for crying out loud. And it was like, I don't want to use a derogatory statement here. And then there was so much noise being raised and all that. I mean, a police college is supposed to be an elite institution where you train those who are going to man sensitive positions in this country. And the place was looking like a slum. And after all the hula baloo, what has happened? Who is telling us what is going on? And then so much money was also, pumped into it. You see, it's very unfortunate that we keep having people that don't want to take responsibilities for either ineptitude or for corruption. Because until we have this approach of people being in in public offices, take accountability of their roles and actions and inactions, we'll continue to have this narrative, going up, back and front. So, yes, do they deserve the welfare that we see them, get whenever they are being deployed to peacekeeping the operations? Yes, they deserve it. And Nigeria is rich in resources, rich enough to take care of their police and other securities. But we have corruption in all the security systems, not necessarily within the rank and file, but they are top. They come in there, they have humongous amounts of money, and they are being misapplied and also taken off. We've had cases where a lot of these men within the Army Air Force were brought out, and some of them were being given a plea bargain to return some of those humongous money. No, it's not acceptable. Because what we're doing is we are gradually cleaning our institutions. And that's why, some of these individuals are taking it for granted and are giving themselves self-help whenever, they have the opportunity of being asked to be on the streets. So it's a shame when you look at the neighboring African countries that don't have 1/4 of the resources we have, well properly kitted. The uniform alone attracts the respect from the citizens. But here we are, our Nigerian policemen will buy their own shoes, buy their own uniform in most cases. But monies are being earmarked annually for all these things. And then in addition to that, certain local governments and certain state governments are also providing all this. But yet, it doesn't go directly and cascade down to those who would actually deserve to have this welfare packages and their uniforms and even the compensations that goes with it. So, who is doing this? Who has been persecuted for this ineptitude and corruption? Nothing. And so we'll continue to have this narrative even beyond this administration if no immediate reversal to these shenanigans that are ongoing with most of this security are stopped.
Wow.
It's so sad.
We hope that, like I said, to whom it may concern, that notes are taken and the needful is done, because like you said, after all of the security trainings and all of that, if nothing, the core issues are not nipped in the bud. I don't know what we expect. But let's get into Kano State. There's more on security conversations we're going to have after now.
Okay.
But let's get into Kano State. Kano State women took to the street in the Kano State metropolis to express their concern over controversies surrounding the appeal court judgment on the Kano State governorship election. The women who marched to the State Police Command headquarters to deliver a letter outlining their grievances in response to the appeal court judgment. This protest follows ongoing tension from the judgment of the tribunal and appellate court that sacked Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf of the NNPP from office and instead declared the APC candidate as winner of the March 18 governorship election, that's Nasiru Yusuf Gawuna. Well, the discrepancies seen in the certified true copies of the appeal court judgment which showed that the appellate court affirmed Governor Yusuf's election contrary to the pronouncements of the justices of the court have also heightened the tension in Kano State. While during the protest, a participant, Hotoro, said, "We are out today because we believe in democracy and the independence of the judiciary. We call on relevant stakeholders to ensure the will of the Kano people prevails." How would the will of the Kano people prevail if the judiciary have decided to keep a blind eye to whatever it is that they are talking about.
Level of awareness of the citizens, and they are also beginning now to demand accountability from all the institutions that are connected to those they selected. Now, it's unfortunate that we are getting to an El Dorado with the judgments of courts. For whatever reason, I don't know why INEC also, like one of the appeal courts, mentioned INEC to stop dancing in the public. I mean, in terms of integrity of our institutions, INEC, judiciary, should allow the people's votes to count. Through INEC and his entire team, that golden opportunity to have the citizens to be active. It's not just in the election, but also in the democracy. Now today we don't even, or we are practicing INECocracy, because those are the only names I can see here, because the Nigerians themselves are even isolated and confused which direction to go. So, Kano State women, I doff my heart for you people. Because if you don't make this profound statement, maybe the politicians there and the judiciary there will not realize that Nigerians are waking up to say, look, we have had enough of all these shenanigans. And there must be a paradigm shift from this usual cycle of after 4 years election, somebody carries ballot or somebody pays the judiciary, and then everything is scuttled, and then we just sit back and say, okay, let's be patient and wait again for the next 4 years. No, enough is enough. So they should address them. And all those discrepancies is because certain people are deliberately benefiting from this crisis, and that's why this is still ongoing.
Now, let's quickly wrap up this protest issue up. Over the weekend, the NNPP had planned a statewide protest over the CTC copy, the discrepancies in the CTC copy, and on the General Project Tribunal on the appellate court's ruling and its outcome. They had slated Saturday for that. About 24 hours to the time, the APC also announced that they are having a protest on that same day. Incidentally, wisdom prevailed, and the protest...
The tribunals and the appeal courts, you also revisit, because for the people to come out and protest, you must take that into cognizance, that they know who they voted for and cannot be. Maybe in some other states, the people have this laid-back attitude and